Squad, the People's Guild. A passion for making monsters. Can't be killed. We breed the best pets, learn a lot, no regrets. Join us in creating excellence. Purple on our back, Mythic Squad on the chest. It's the Mythic Squad. It's Mythic Squad. It's a special Mythic time.
Hey, we got a special guest with us today, Hubert Cumberdale. Thank you for coming and meeting us on such short notice, and thank you, Ogre, for putting this all together. We have some things to talk about today, and without further ado, we're going to jump right in. So take it away, Ogre.
What's up, everybody? One thing that we've noticed here recently is there's a point of contention, right? Some people are saying there's way too many heroes out there. We got to address the cooldown, fix this somehow. There's other people that are, for whatever reasons, they're not wanting to. So I figured there's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of stuff tied up in that. Let's get some facts out there. Let's get some actual numbers. And who best to go to than the man Hubert Cumberdale, who's done some identification and kind of gone over this and looked at the actual numbers, how things are going, and understands where the team is planning on going. So I appreciate you coming on, Hubert. Thank you very much. I'm glad, like Starbucks said, kind of a last minute thing. You jumping up here and making time. I know your wife is on the verge of having a baby. So congratulations on that. And I'm glad it didn't happen yet because we wouldn't have you here.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, hopefully it'll be next week, and I'll still get a little bit more time to do some work before that happens. But yeah, really happy to be here, and yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to this topic. I know it's kind of a heavy one, and there's a lot of numbers, and kind of talking through it is, there's a lot to think about, and I think a lot that doesn't really get considered when just looking at it from like the view of a Gen 0 holder and whatnot. So. Hopefully at least, you can at least see my perspective, and we can get into it. So
yeah,
ask away.
I'm glad that we're having that today. I think that was one of the downfalls of the previous bid to even have it discussed. I mean, we didn't even get to the point where we would discuss it. I think that was because there wasn't very much set up ahead of time, but now in retrospect, there's a lot of us, myself included, I'm a Gen 0 holder, who isn't completely against having a greater cooldown if it meant something in return. So what are your thoughts on that, Hubert? And I mean, obviously, what are your thoughts on the way the first vote went down is what I'm trying to say, and what came from it?
Yeah, so I think you're right that, we didn't really preface that vote with any information, and it wasn't until like after the vote had been concluded that I had gone on like a podcast and talked to somebody about it. I think it was maybe Sergeant Filthy McNasty. And, that it would have been better if we had, kind of introduced the subject in advance and kind of said some of the things we were thinking about and why. At the time, especially, I think gas costs were pretty high. And just, a part of the issue is just, with more heroes doing questing, that's more processing on chain. Plus, we've kind of gotten to a point of somewhat saturation in the hero market where you do see a lot of the floor has gotten pretty low in value. And, it's pretty easy pickings, I guess, for dark summoning fodder at the moment. So,
Mhm.
and that's kind of at this point, it's kind of what it is. It kind of a result of the decisions we made when we originally made the system. But I think it's something that I had voted, like, if I wish I had pushed harder to do it the way I was wanting to do it initially, because there's just at the beginning everything was new, everyone had different ideas, and everyone's opinion was kind of treated more openly and evenly, and I was new also to the team and wasn't very strong in my stance as I have become these days. So yeah, anyway, so we're here now. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I do.
Let's kick it off. What about the summonings is the issue right now, and what threats do we have if we maintain on this current path?
Sure, yeah. I did put together kind of a spreadsheet. Like last time I talked about this, I was like, oh man, the math to figure out the exact numbers was hard. So I just made a brute force program to just run through everything and simulate it out. And just like with the current system that we have right now, and I think not everybody is summoning with every hero, and down to their minimum summons. Like that's not
Mhm.
what's happening. But if we just assume that everybody did, just for the sake of like knowing what's possible, I think what we do end up seeing is kind of a percentage of what the max is. Probably a lower percentage, but just like if we had two Gen Zeros that just summoned as soon as they could with each other, and then every like summoned hero that came from them also summoned as soon as possible, assuming that they also had like a partner to summon with that had the same number of summons. Just with all that assumptions made, in 90 days, that single pair of heroes could generate 28,000, about a little over 28,000 heroes. Um, and there's currently about 3,000 Gen Zeros out there. So if every Gen Zero is summoning, which they aren't, then we're talking 42 million heroes could be produced in 90 days. Uh, so that's not what's happening right now. Like I said, it's as you get into the higher generations, the cost gets higher. You also kind of lose out on some opportunities for like mutations, being able to get to the higher ones, and I think a lot of people have turned to dark summoning with kind of those heroes instead, since the kind of the cost kind of is reduced there. But still, that just kind of shows. All right, so 42 million heroes is possible with all Gen Zeros, with every hero just summoning to the max. Like that's what's possible in 90 days. We don't see that. We see. I'm actually, that one thing I didn't check was like what the current rate is. I don't know if any of you guys have checked that,
I
but
don't know that. I'm curious to that though.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering is what is the percentage of people with Gen Zeros that are summoning right now?
right.
I know I've got one, and we use ours as soon as it's ready. Me and two Honest.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I have a few. I haven't been summoning with them for quite a while myself, but yeah, unfortunately, I don't have those numbers. I wish I had the time today to do it. It's kind of short notice, and I was really focused on trying to run these models to just show like kind of how things could be changed. I could share this sheet. It's not going to be the most exciting thing to look at, but I mean, you can stare at the numbers as I'm talking about
Yeah,
them if
sure.
you want.
They can screenshot it too, so sure, let's do it.
Okay, let me give
Uh,
you.
I wanted to ask the question that I was talking to intern about Gen Zero cooldowns, and should someone like me who doesn't hold a Gen Zero have a voice in whether the cooldowns are adjusted?
I mean, I think that's a fair argument to, it does affect Gen Zero holders the most, but it is
I
also
own
just kind of
1,200 heroes too, though, so I think it affects me too.
right. I think, it kind of changes the ecosystem. And I think that kind of, as far as like what's available for everybody, it all kind of depends on like how many Gen 1s have come to be and how many of those Gen 1s have produced their own heroes and so on, right? Like it all kind of flows into, those original generators of heroes, the Gen Zeros. But like the whole ecosystem is tied together that way. So I guess in my view, it is, I think, I guess the stakeholders of DefiKingdoms in general should have a say, but I think those that help Gen Zero should probably be given a little bit of an extra amount of voting power, just since it does change their outlook more so. But here, I'll just share it in the chat here, and I guess and then everyone can look at it, and that's fine by me. I put together a whole bunch of different models, just kind of showing how many of every generation of hero would be produced. So
I got a side quest in my brain real quick. What if we incentivized burning heroes more by having raffles added to like the dark summoning pits?
I mean, burning heroes is one side of the equation, and I think we do have sure we could potentially add raffles to dark summoning potentially, but we do have a whole nother burn mechanic that we're getting close to introducing to the public as well. So I think I'd probably like to see that
because I burned so many heroes. So give me
Right.
those raffle tickets. No, I'm kidding.
Well, that's also a very valid point, though, right? Because Gen Zero holders and non-Gen Zero holders, we are all as individuals inclined, for the most part, to vote in line with our current desires and our own self-benefit, right? And that's not saying anybody's selfish; it's just natural. So I think that a good balance there of making sure that Gen Zero holders are represented, but also non-Gen Zero holders who have a bunch of heroes should also be represented, because any decision very much will affect both sides of that coin.
Absolutely.
Right. So I couldn't send the link in the chat. I think it doesn't like links being sent. So I sent it to you guys in our private chat. So if you want to,
okay. We'll put that in Mythic Squad Discord. That way people have a reason to go in there.
Hey.
Big bang shit over here.
Yeah, I think I think there is kind of, as far as like the impacts of like changing cooldowns, though. I think one thing that doesn't get recognized is like if the supply of Generation 1 heroes goes down, I think the value of them just kind of naturally would increase. So I don't know if, per se, like if we say, okay, we double the cooldown of Gen Zeros, like the max of the max cooldown for Gen Zeros, like is that going to mean that they can, the amount of return they can get if they sold every hero that they made would be cut in half? I don't know that that's actually true. I think with the supply going down, the demand would go up, and so I think there would be some balancing there. It's probably not like an even split, but I do think it's I wouldn't say it's just like a straight divide by 2 or whatever number based on what change was made. But yeah, okay, so you have the sheet pulled up there. So sorry, it's not very pretty. I just kind of put numbers in as quickly as I could, but you can how I have that laid out is like on the left is the different method I used for simulating, with the current being there. The top one is with 90 days, and the bottom two are with 365 days, which, by the way, my model took like over 10 minutes to like run each of those. But
wow.
Let's see. The one thing you can see though is like even just by a little bit more than doubling, like putting the Gen Zero max cooldown at a week, and this is also assuming that they're already at their max. Like it's a 56% decrease in total number of heroes summoned by that pair. Mm-hmm. So I think even just doing something as simple as that would have a pretty large impact. But if we do something like I did something where I didn't change the Gen Zero cooldowns and I just kind of increased the cooldown timers of every other generation hero, like I increased the starting point at like +8, and then every step summon after that was like multiplied by that, how many summons they've done. Mm-hmm. Like the +8 is only a decrease of like 2.8%. +24 or +16 is 5.6%. Like it very minimal impact, even like increasing it to like 32 and then increasing by like extra amounts and stuff. Like it really didn't change things very much. Like you can see that the majority of the generation is because of how many Gen 1s are being created by the Gen Zeros. So like even like doing a 1 week max, like line 11 there, like I did that plus the one right above it with 32 weeks or 32 hours cooldown starting on the Gen Zeros or Gen 1s. and it went to like 60% reduction, whereas just doing the 1 week cooldown on Gen Zeros alone was a 56% reduction. So like, the impact is like the strongest impact would be by adjusting Gen Zero cooldown timers by far. Like very simply, that's just the case.
Hubert, what was the initial idea you had? The one that you didn't really.
I originally wanted there to be no cap on Gen Zero cooldowns. Just wanted it to like still be at the starting point where it's 4 hours every summon, adding 4 hours additional every time. But just it never reached a cap, and just would always just keep going. So over time, as the years go by, like there'd just be fewer and fewer Gen 1s being generated. But
that's how I envisioned it should be in my head too. But it's a little late for that now, right? So
I mean, it could still be done, but yeah, I mean, it would like there's a lot of heroes out there at this point, so like I think people would just use those still. I'm looking forward to see how much of an impact the new burn mechanic will have on things, because it's a pretty big change, and I could see a lot of people using it. And I like even like over time too, like it's different in that it's not producing any new heroes either, so it's like a complete burn rather than a combining.
Not producing any new heroes from the hero burn.
Yes.
So what could we incentivize other than a hero?
Or stone.
Are we getting into that, Hubert?
I'm not gonna say more yet, but
beans, my dude.
But I think it's gonna be appealing. I'll say that. Like I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be a pretty big change to just the overall way the game works. And I do want to put it in front of the community before we actually release it as well, just so that we can have time for feedback and people can kind of digest what we're suggesting or doing. It does kind of impact a lot of aspects of the game. So
you just gave chat a boost.
Yeah, door is open.
What kind of shit we were talking about before stream. I love it.
So. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of, I guess this kind of just shows at least if we wanted to do something, people are concerned about the number of heroes that are out there. I think the largest impact, like we can introduce just burn mechanics and not do anything else. And I think it'll probably slow things down, but I'm not sure that like we could ever make a burn mechanic that would be good enough to fight against the current like cooldown timers. Personally, I don't know what we could do. It would be too radical. There's like the value of so many heroes would like to find a counterbalance to all of it would be tough, I think. So it would slow it down, but yeah.
Well, I think in reality, a big part of the issue right now, let's be real, is the floor. It continues going down. There's not enough demand, and there's more Gen 1 heroes being summoned than there is demand for them. And therein lies the issue, right? That's why people are stressing a bit. There's a couple factors that are going to come into play. Number one is more burn mechanics. Number two is we're going to grow, right? And as we bring more people in, there will be more demand. So to a degree, that will relieve some of the pressure as well. So I think a balanced approach of looking at the different burn mechanics and what we can do. And here I'm taking the role of a bunch of Gen Zero holders, right? Because that's who I am. Not necessarily saying I agree with all of this, but there is also the concern of the Gen Zero holders out there. If we slash the Gen Zeros too much, then they get upset and then they start folding and dropping Gen Zeros on the floor, and we create a new problem by fixing one problem. So I love the way that you guys are kind of taking your time, putting it out to the community. And I think what Sticks Intern put up there is a great idea. Make sure we got a public notice and like a 2-week or 4-week period for RFC, request for comment. Gather that comment and let the community kick it around. Let the community have the live streams about it and talk it to death. And then we have a voting period of like 2 weeks after that to make sure that it's thoroughly talked about, the both good and bad sides, and information like what you've got here has time to come out and help show people more than just their perception and what they're seeing. So I love what we're doing here. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that if there was even a period of discussion ahead of the last vote, I mean, wasn't it not a landslide victory? It's like people just voting off of their feelings at that point.
Yeah, we had said like very little about it when we made that vote. So I think we didn't we should have gone about that a different way for sure. It was kind of rushed, and I guess we didn't plan very well for that one. So I agree. We should have done more that first time, and maybe we wouldn't even need to have had this conversation today. So um
I got a quick question about the new burn mechanic, real quick.
uh-huh.
Okay. Well, whatever we get, or whatever the incentive of this burn be, like the result of it be, will it bring some in-game items down in price from the trader potentially as a side effect?
I think that could be possible. It could
Okay.
be. It will really kind of depend on what people do with it, because it kind of relies on player activity around it. But
Okay.
I could see I mean, it's such a big thing. I think it will impact a number of different tokens,
Okay.
and just in general, kind of like. Yeah, you'll see. It's coming soon. I mean, we're just just trying to figure out when we want to present it, but I think the design is mostly worked out at this point. It's been approved through tokenomics. So, but as mentioned before, I'm gonna be out of the office here for a little while, so may wait until I get back, but we'll see.
Yeah. And I hope everything goes well. I'm sure it will. And congratulations on another. Is it another kid or your first kid?
It's the first.
Oh man, you're in for like learning new shit every day for the next 18 years, my guy.
Yeah.
Just
I'm
when you
getting
think you
ready
got it
for the
figured out.
life change.
Yeah, but it's the best life change though. You're gonna enjoy the hell out of it.
It's exactly what I said when I heard it was his first. I was like, well, welcome to the club, brother. You're about to start the both most grueling as well as most rewarding job you've ever had.
Yeah, my first and only is turning 16 next month. So
Nice.
it's a ride, man. It's fun.
Yeah, I've been
Yes, it
buying
is.
some board games just with the plan that like in 10 years from now we'll be playing it. So
Yeah, 10 years from now he'll be playing DFK, and hopefully we'll have yellow pets by then.
right?
I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I had to stab you. I'm sorry. Anyways, go for it.
Love the comedic interlude.
But yeah, I mean, I guess other things that could be done if we wanted to adjust. I mean, there's also the options of just like increasing the cost of summoning besides changing cooldowns. Like that's another option. Just making it just more costly would potentially reduce the number of times that people do it too. But like I feel like cooldown timers is a safer approach.
What about here's an idea. What about a potential cost cooldown? Right? So maybe we reset we make it so that the cooldown period where it's the same price and infinite is 1 week, but at 3 days you can do it. However, if you do it 3 days later, like it is now, the cost is like quadruple, and that goes down linearly over time until you hit 7 days where it resets to 0. So that way people can still do it every 3 days if they want to, but they have to choose, right? You want to spend a little more to do it now, or you want to wait for the 7 days and get it at the same base price that originally was anticipated.
Kind of like penalty for pulling out a pool early or something, or a lock early.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that is, that's an interesting idea, kind of just a mix of the two, or just, I guess just an overall cooldown bypass mechanic could be a way to kind of alleviate that. I mean, it mostly only affects Gen Zeros, I guess, if we didn't also change the cooldown timers of the other heroes as well. Like there could be a combination of things where it's not just Gen Zeros, but we also increase the cooldowns of all the other heroes as well.
Someone who enjoys hero building and stuff too, and needs to degen daily, I think a cooldown on all heroes might be a bad idea, because you don't want to limit the activities you have in this game already. I don't know. That's just my thought, because I'm in there building every day.
I agree. I think the cost on the Gen 1 Plus is probably sufficient. It's more the Gen Zeros churning out Gen
I might
1.
just burn them because I can't wait for the cooldown anyway, so that might just work out for you guys anyway. So. But,
yeah, and I guess that was one thing I was thinking about, like increasing cooldown timers is just, it would encourage people to just use the Dark Summoner instead too. So, like I guess that would be something that
I don't need any encouragement, but some people do.
Right. But
do
yeah.
you dark summons?
Not very often. I don't really find much time to do summoning. I did a few when we were doing the Halloween event, so I could get a couple of the different unique skin color ones. But
how can you hold the title of hero murderer if you're not in the pits very often?
I murder you guys with my void hunts.
Okay. You do. True, that makes sense. Touche.
A lot.
Yeah.
And soon I will enable you guys to murder each other with it too. So like, yeah, I mean, it's yeah, there's just I just spent too much time thinking about the design and haven't really had too much time. Like, I try to get at least a couple hunts in a day. I wasn't able to like yesterday, but besides doing that, I just kind of
just focus on the breathing right now. Just focus on the breathing.
But yeah, so I mean that's kind of I guess just the general overview of things. I mean we would still have we still have more Gen Zeros to release. Also, there's still 2 more sets of releases that we're planning on doing. So that also comes with a reset of the Gen Zeros if they reroll their genes. So I mean means that does allow kind of in the initial period for more heroes to be produced. So I guess that's an option. And I did see, I think Skiller mentioned, if we were to change the cooldown timers, then we should include like a reset at that point as well. Which I wouldn't be opposed to talking about that. I mean, it would be a short-term increase in like hero production that would happen as a result. But it would also mean like those heroes that have been like yours that you've been summoning with all the time wouldn't just immediately be at the new cooldown max also. So but even like with a year, I mean, looking at like if you look at the bottom one, so I did do a run where it's like Gen 0 cooldown doesn't cap, like they're still able to produce 66 heroes within 1 year. So I think actually, I mean, 90 days with 7 heroes out of the 2 week, I think I didn't even like reach the 2 weeks max at that point. So, maybe even reducing without or changing the cooldown timer without actually giving a reset at the same time would, not everyone would be at the max right away because, 4 hours is not that much of an increase every time. And so.
So what are you going to incentivize us with the new burn mechanic? I'm sorry.
I'll say that I've seen some people guess at some of it correctly. But
what are those people's names?
Do you know exactly when they posted
it? I've seen some things. I mean, there's only so many ideas that I think would make sense. So I think our community are smart people, and they've come up with
if you make it look like a slot machine, Mosh will be so happy. Just saying.
It will have some randomness involved. I love my RNGesus, so
way to stay consistent. I love it. I was like, damn your RNG last night when I got a pirate after a dread shot. So, but anyways, I sent it straight to Maddie.
Scoopy's got a good idea. It says hopefully it's an item attainable via the new burn mechanic only.
I like that.
I will say that is the case, but that's a part of it. It's not the whole.
So there's going to be equipment you can only get from burning.
It's possible that what you get could be used as an ingredient for things. So it's possible.
Page 10? Is it page 10?
No, it's not page 10.
Okay.
Hyena 10. So, when do you think, I mean, obviously you're going to be gone for a while and we all wish you well. It's a huge thing for you and congratulations. When do you think you would feel comfortable bringing a vote to the community once again?
So one of the problems is we've had an issue with people that use the Halliday wallet. Like we want to make sure that everybody can vote. And right now that wallet is kind of having an issue with snapshot.org. And so we need to kind of work out a new solution for voting before we can really like start doing more votes. And that's kind of been a holdup for a while, and it's kind of been a little bit difficult for us to prioritize getting that done. I'm hopeful that once we get the next duels out, we're going to be able to put Fox on that and get him, get that prioritized so that we can kind of move forward with some of these things, because it's kind of been a holdup for a little while. But I think. I guess we'll have to see. Like, I'm not sure how complex that's going to be, but I think it's probably, I'm hopeful that at least it's not going to be too long after I get back that we can do that, because just got to move forward, and we have a lot that we're working on, and this new burn mechanic is something I would like to have be at least come out during our PvP releases. I'd not say for sure exactly at which point, but I would like it to come out during there, because it will impact a lot of things that we also want to have. Like it's interconnected with other things that we haven't released yet. So
I got one more question on the burn mechanic.
Uh-huh.
Is there any possibility that we just are left with 4 tears, or maybe 5, one rolling down our cheek? Are we going to feel that kind of rug from it potentially?
I think it will. I think it does have some minimums. I think the minimums won't feel that bad.
Okay, mushroom ones maybe.
They're well. You'll see. There's stuff.
Right.
It's
He's
very
going to start telling me
interconnected.
his wife's in labor to get off the stream here pretty soon.
So I got a question. Talked about on Friday was like incentivizing the hunts more for like the higher level heroes. They weren't doing as well. I mistakenly thought that there was a higher rate of equipment drop as well as more XP and whatnot. And then over the weekend after that stream, it seemed like all I was seeing on X was people like getting equipment. It seemed like it almost stepped up. Is there a possibility that increased and
No.
hasn't been announced yet?
No, we didn't change that. I mean,
You've asked that so many times, and people have told you no so many times. Ogre, who else do you want to ask that question to?
Well, no. Like I saw a difference this weekend on X that I saw more people posting about it, so I wasn't sure if the rate had actually gone up. I mean, the team does listen to us and they do respond, so I was just kind of curious if they had.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a system that I have been cooking up, and it's been slow coming. Just we've had too many things happening. But I do have a additional reward mechanic planned for hunts that will be backwards. Like it'll be back rewarding for everyone that has been doing hunts up to this point. So, there's you can look forward to that, and that will have some interest. Like it's going to kind of change things up a bit. I think it'll be well received, and likely will increase ways to get equipment. But I mean, I think with higher levels, you do get more chances at moksha runes, you get more experience, and you just have a higher likelihood of having more luck on your heroes at higher levels. It's possible that you just maxed out luck as much as you could at level 10 or whatever, but at the 10 more levels you could get even more, right? So luck does play into the drop rate of equipment. So I think there is, it's not always, you could use heroes that just you never touched luck on and at level 20 and have a worse chance of getting equipment than like some level 10s that were more focused. So
okay.
And for the record, my highest level hero is level 14, so I don't fall into that category.
Mine too, actually. Really close to that 15 point. I want to use those level 5 skills.
Nice. I hear you, Dags.
All right. Is there any other questions you guys want to ask Hubert? I don't want to take all his day. It sounds like we're fizzling.
I would like to ask Hubert if there's anything else you wanted to present. Is there anything else you wanted to talk? Do you think to be pertinent to get out in front of the community information-wise on this topic?
On the topic of summoning, I think this was kind of the main thing. I mean, there's some other ideas of things we could do that, tied to the, like I said, changing things with beyond Gen Zeros that could be done. Where like the cooldown, the first summon cooldown isn't 24 hours, but it's whatever the summon cooldown of the summoner is, like the longest cooldown, things like that at least kind of slow down that initial turn, but again, I still am of the opinion that like just adjusting Gen Zeros is going to have the largest impact and going to be the least complex to explain. Which just having a different cap really would be what I'd say. And I think even just doing an increase to having it be a 1 week max cooldown is such a significant change to just like the amount that can be produced, that maybe that would be the easiest to swallow by everybody. But if people want to go even harder, I would certainly be down to do like a 2 week or even longer, like uncapped, even. But I think uncapped is kind of a little bit risky as far as like it will mean that Gen 1s will really start to become scarce, and it'll be harder and harder to produce more heroes. And kind of in the end game state, you're kind of waiting for those resets. So I think it probably is better to just have a higher cap and call that good. But
yeah, because if we did it uncapped, I mean, eventually Gen Zeros would go to near zero because it would be so expensive to summon. You can't even do anything. So how would it be different from like a Gen 10?
Well, I don't think the cost would increase, just the cooldown timer, right? So it'd still be the same. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you have to wait like a year, once per year or something, like that would be so far out in the future before we could even get to that point. Like, like even like I said, right now you can summon 122 heroes in a year with the current cooldown. And if you're starting from the 0 point and it was just uncapped, you could still summon 66 in the first year. Of course, the second year is going to be a lot less, but still, it's not like that huge of a change actually. And I think just even going with the 1 week is going to kind of put it into that same point. But yeah, I mean, I hope this conversation kind of generates a lot of conversation amongst the community. I pay a lot of attention to what you guys are saying all the time, and really just want to create an ecosystem that is healthy and sustainable, and people feel like their NFTs have the value that they think they should have. And it's always kind of a trade-off if you change anything, and it's I guess one of the hard things about designing in this ecosystem is like you try to get it right the first time, just because it's so hard to convince people to change things. But sometimes I think we really should just let ourselves learn from our mistakes and try to grow and change if we can. So yeah.
Hey, Wowie, stuck in through the side door. Welcome.
Yeah, sorry about that. It was short notice. What's up, guys? Did I miss anything juicy? What's up?
No, I did want to tell Hubert how excited I am about how he responded to Dark Summoning raffles, though. So just keep that in there. I think that would excite a lot of dudes I know. So,
did you guys talk about cooldown timers extending for additional benefits, like on Sergeant Filthy McNasty's stream from last Friday?
Yes, this was a kind of extension of that with facts and information provided by Hubert.
Ah, that's fantastic. My 2 cents, if you would just hear me out for a second. Don't do that. For the love of God, please. I have no dog in this fight. I do not own Gen Zeros. I have no dog in this fight. But looking far, far into the future, it would absolutely decimate us in endgame.
I mean, very valid point. Like, what happens if we double or triple in community size when the team is there doing a lot of marketing and a lot of pushing right now? So that's kind of the flip side of the coin. This is one way to fix it, is by reducing the supply. The other side of the coin is increase the demand, right?
Well, yeah. I think when that happens, we can address it too as a team and community too, right?
So we talk about like a new vote every 6 months. Do we want to change the cooldown this 6 months or no?
I mean, I still think I would. People are not summoning to the max, so there's a lot of available summon fodder out there. Like
you haven't looked at my wallet, but that's all right.
So like, there's a lot of heroes out there that haven't. I mean, like I said before, like if everyone was summoning to the max, then in 90 days we'd have 42 million heroes produced in that period of time. So. Like the capacity for summoning is way higher than what we actually have. Even doing like the cooldown timer to a week That's still 18 million heroes that could be produced in 90 days if everything was summoning to the max and all the Gen Zeros were at their caps already. So like I think there's plenty to go around for people. Yeah, I know we are going to have, we're anticipating having a lot more players, which will be great, and we'll have more people using heroes, but we also want to have kind of an RPG feel to the game, and being able to like let people have a decent amount of gameplay just by having a smaller team of heroes. When you have a lot, then you can start producing all the ingredients for potions and be able to be a major participant in the overall economy. But still, like, as far as like having active gameplay, that is going to be something where it's harder to be able to accommodate someone having like 1,000 heroes if like themselves are not going to be able to use all of them to do a boar hunt in a day, right? So like there's kind of going to have to be that trade-off where most of the heroes are going to be just gatherers or used in other ways that we introduce to like keep them busy, while you kind of use your best teams to take part in like the more active content.
That's kind of where I'm at anyways. In my mind, that's healthy ecosystem, right? And you're going to have different people doing different things. Some people just want to PvE and be providers. Other people could care less about that. They're willing to drop a little bit of money every week for their entertainment and to run PvP and have their fun, right? So I see different flavors of people coming out of this in the long run. And I think that the economy and the ecosystem that is being built is amazing because it's going to allow for all of those different archetypes to be able to play the game and play it their way.
Right.
You also have to remember that like the game that we're talking about right now isn't going to be fully fleshed out for another 4 to 6 years, I'm assuming, in totality, right? So I mean, all of that
If ever.
time, I mean,
You can keep going.
in the perfect world, it's never done.
What about a guy that's got like 500 PvP heroes or something like that? What about like some sort of scholarship program for new players to be able to make use of those heroes and the people who hold those heroes that are ready to rock and roll?
In my mind, that almost sounds like a community project, right? Community led. Yeah, we get iOS.
Very well could be, but I don't know if it can go on the honor system.
Kind of like, yeah, I mean, I have talked about that, and it is something that I would like to see us having some form of like team rental capability, especially for like PvP. I think, for new players that are just interested,
or
it'd be nice if
guilds,
they did.
They make it, or Dags makes a good point. Even if they had that feature just for guilds too, it would,
Yeah.
help.
Yeah, I mean, that would be nice. I mean, I know that you guys in particular produce some of the nicest heroes out there. So like, being able to let people see what that's like without risking like them stealing them from you,
Yeah. That would be nice. Some of these heroes are super unique.
I mean, a lot of that could be solved once
But it would
multi-sig
be cool
wallets mature a little bit more, right? I mean,
it would be cool for someone who doesn't own those heroes to be able to use those heroes and participate in something as exhilarating as some of that in-game content should be, in PvP and whatnot. So
yeah, no, I think for PvP, it's just one of these things that we'll see if we can get it done. It might not be initially, but something where I really would like us to allow people to just like offer hero teams for rental, just so like new interested players can come in, not have to figure out what summoning is or anything, and be like, oh, here's a team that's good, has maybe have a rating system. It's like, here's a highly rated team to use, that I can just figure it and go in and see what combat is like and see if I'm interested in this game. Just because even just the barrier to entry just to get to the point where you can even do like a hunt right now is you have to get level 10 heroes at least, and you have to understand how a whole bunch of things work. And I that's one of the things I'd like us to be able to focus on. It's just also a matter of time and resources to get there. So
think about the benefits of being early. Everything's nice and cheap right now.
Oh yeah. Traits better slap, and so should PJ heroes. Okay.
yeah.
Yep. Traits are another one that is on I keep talking about it, or I want it to get, get us to a point where we're testing them. So I'm hoping that we can do that. We're focusing on the 2 classes that we're developing right now. One of them is fully implemented in our balance testing right now. Kind of still waiting some art on it though, but it's there, and the other one is well on its way to also being there. So we're making very quick progress on that actually, and I'm looking forward to getting those in front of you guys also here shortly. So but I probably won't be around when it releases. We'll see, but I hope it releases before I get back, at least one of them. So
hold on, Be Easy, who is an awesome dude, has a question that I'm going to read real quick. Do you mind?
Sure.
Okay, I haven't read this, so if I stutter, it's just me being beef. What is their plan for hero economy for classes advanced and above? Besides duels, there is absolutely no reason to acquire or level them currently. Is there anything in the roadmap to make more use cases for them short term of waiting for the codex release for them, which seems to be next year sometime at the current rate of development? I think he was speaking nicely too.
Yeah, I mean, short term, I think that's hard to say. I think once we do get the traits out and pet bonuses, that'll be something that will at least help allow those to be more usable. But it's true that it's going to have to wait on codexes and whatnot, and we haven't really been focusing on the next codexes. More have been focusing on like the last hunt, and now we're kind of refining things as we keep iterating on our process and improving on the design. And you'll see that like for one of the classes that we're working on, we actually revamped it quite a lot. So I expect to see a wowie overview of all of that later down the road.
What a coincidence.
But yeah, I mean, for the advanced classes, I mean, we have more focus now than we did before. We got a boost of just funding for our team with this PvP effort. So that's allowed us to kind of turn things up a bit. And we have pulled in both Pinecone and Typical to help do just specifically combat development. So I do think, up until this point, it's just been Beetle Dude, and as much as the resources that he's had, and also he's kind of had to build new mechanics and just the overall engine at the same time as us getting things released. And so as we keep taking off things that needed to get made, it gets easier to implement more.
So could we expect more of a cadence to these codex releases in the upcoming months?
I would say so. I mean, it's there's barring some catastrophic thing happening, like who knows what will happen. But I think we're laser focused on just like improving and getting more combat content out.
I'd like to hear that.
That includes classes. So there's a couple coming pretty soon. So.
Also, I just wanted to chime in and say, you want to know what fucking absolutely made my fucking year in DFK, and it was a small little event that you guys did. It was the ghoul and zombie skins. When can we expect maybe more filler content like that in between codexes, so that we have these unique things to go after? Because after all,
there's no Easter one yet.
Well, I know, but after all, I love the content of future PvP coming. I love the PvE. And I know we're talking Gen 0 cooldowns, but I really fucking always dug going for unique heroes in the summoning pits or in the regular portal as well. But just little things like that. I know it was easy for you guys to implement the skin because it already existed there. But do you guys have any plans to elaborate, maybe have a better cadence on stuff like that?
So yeah, I mean, with things with genes, it is a little. There's a limit to how many we can do, just because there's only there's 32 options that we can have, and if we space them, we really only have 16 unless we want them to be able to mutate, and so
I'm just looking for purple skin tone. That's all. So you can do that.
So yeah, I mean, if we do those, I think we need to be careful about when, because once we've kind of used them all up, then they're done at that point. So
what other ideas do you have besides just going into something like that, or is it just too complex to like the backgrounds for say. Like, could we have limited time backgrounds for when you let's stay on par with hero inflation and stuff. Maybe when you dark summons a hero, you have like a limited time to get a certain background. How hard would that be?
Yeah, like a Christmas background or something.
Yeah, I mean it's not.
Are you limited there?
It's the same limitation.
Okay,
It's
okay.
all on the gene system, and like every gene is only 5 bits of space, so that gives you 32 options. So that's a limitation there, but we only have 8 backgrounds at the moment, so I think we could have a double that, and then if we go any more than double that, then we start getting mutations.
Did you do like portrait vizies? Like background vizies, or is that not a technical thing that you could do?
It's possible, but we have also, our art team is like always working, and
I know you guys are. My ADD's running rampant right now. I'm just trying to get a bunch of shit out there.
Yeah.
Second order of effect. If we change the backgrounds without using vizies, that also affects duels too, right? I mean, there's other things.
Yeah.
Well, anything we do affects something else.
I don't think vizies do anything except for cosmetics.
No, they wouldn't. But if we had more than the 8 backgrounds, then duels would have to be redone because backgrounds come into play with duels, do they not?
Yeah, they do.
That's true. Yeah.
True.
So, yeah, I mean, like more cosmetic stuff is in terms of, I guess, just the skin color and eye color, I guess, would be another one. But that eye color is kind of hard to see anyway, just a couple pixels. But, I think we'll probably do something along those lines again at some point. Not sure exactly when.
I loved it. I loved that whole event, by the way. It was one of my favorite things in 2023.
It was pretty cool, yeah. And it's always hard because it does take time to do these things, and
but that should bring value to any zombie or ghoul skin heroes, since you are on limited resources for those type of events. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think it was a pretty good event, and I think people are looking out for those skin colors too. But I don't know that we wouldn't. I don't know how many times we'd want to do that again. We said we weren't going to do those specific colors again. So unless we decided to not go against what we said.
That, dude. That's cool.
Keep it that way.
Cool. Limited time cosmetics are like, for the real hardcore gamers and stuff, are fucking awesome. By the way.
Right.
I think, and I know it does nothing in game, but it's just about being able to stunt a little bit.
Right. Yeah, which we've been doing with the vizies as well. I mean, those are not coming back either. So
not enough wood and beavers, but one day.
But, Season 2 of Pets, there will be a beaver.
Yeah,
find a way.
Yeah. Right. Maybe beaver's mine. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, definitely we'll take that back to the team. We'll see what we can pull off, and just don't want to divert our resources too much from what we're doing right now. Just to make sure we get what we're planning on for PvP done. So okay. There's quite a lot there that we're.
I don't write any of this shit down, so I hope you did, Hubert. So
I'll remember.
All recorded. No
until
worries.
The baby's born, then I'll forget everything. So.
There you go.
No doubt, you'll have a proper excuse though.
You'll go to put on her hat, it'll be a diaper. Hopefully not a used one.
You should just get a Hubert diaper Vizzy.
Diaper Vizzy coming
That'd be
soon.
funny as hell to have a bunch of dudes and a bunch of heroes in diapers out there.
Baby heroes.
I'm looking forward to the next Vizzy that we're having coming out as well. It's a cool one. So
Beaver then, huh?
It's nice. It's not a beaver. I'm sorry.
I'm kidding too, by the way.
But
I got one last question before we end this all, because I could feel like I definitely came in way late.
You did, but that's okay.
But there was a question I wanted to ask you, Hubert, while I had you on the Mega stream, and it just totally left my mind. I didn't realize how hard that was going to be. But my question is, in your ideal world, without anyone on the team coming to you to rebuke for reasons of balance, what is your perfect idea of the gameplay loop and the ultimate portion of the game experience for DefiKingdoms in your opinion? Like, what would you want to have, and why is it communal PvE?
Why is it? That's a very hard question to answer. There's kind of a lot there. I mean, I think we're going towards what I want for the most part. I think there's a lot of things that will come up along the way, but uh, what I'd really like to see is just a very integrated game world, where players are moving their heroes around on the map, where uh, the location that your heroes are at have kind of unique things going on about them, where there could be potentially unique events happening there, or like somebody doing something here would unlock a void hunt for a period of time and then it would go away,
Yeah,
and
that's
just
cool.
having just generally things like I played a lot of Heroes of Might and Magic back in the day, and I kind of have that kind of sense of like where you need to
Nice.
travel around to get resources, and where things kind of change. Like in Heroes of Might and Magic, it's not that changing, but just kind of that sense of you need to go to certain places to do certain things, but having it also kind of run on a system of like behind the scenes events and secret things that can happen, something that might only happen like 1 in 100,000 times somebody does something, like suddenly this appears and it's here now, and like everyone kind of freaks out and has to deal with it, and then it goes away again, but also kind of just having a much more interactive map where we have lands are kind of involved in the whole ecosystem, and they're vital to like gameplay as it comes to like crafting and being able to like achieve certain goals. Like I kind of say this in broad terms, but like overall, just having that experience of you come in, there's a ton of things you can do. Like I think in MMOs as well, like there's just so much that you can do that as a new player, you just kind of do what's available to you. But the more you play, the more it's like, and just there's so much more that opens
Random
up.
encounters are so badass too, because you're like, who wants to step to me? Let's fucking go. You know what I mean? Like, and then I absolutely love like certain things, or certain things have a small chance to proc a certain activity. That's like almost like raid-esque type puzzles, right? That's cool shit to me too. So like any sort of live puzzles in the game to create opportunities with like limited time events sounds freaking awesome to me.
Yeah, I think there's a lot we can do being in the Web3 space, where we can have like limited equipment where there's only 10 that can be around at a time, something like that. Where once they've all been found, and maybe those are just the only 10 forever, or once they've kind of been destroyed, then they are available in rotation to be found again.
See, we're really trying to raise the ceiling of hero value and asset value in this game. I like it.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys ever played like the old Fallout games before Bethesda took
Yeah.
them over, but like you can wander around on that map and suddenly run into an alien spaceship, and like just kind of like there were just kind of very random things that could happen, but you may never even know about it if you only played through it once.
Just
So
don't make me encumbered by carrying too much shit, because I hate walking slow.
yeah, well,
Arrow to the knee.
I think that's gonna be a main part.
yeah, we'll see. I don't know that I want to go as far as like doing like hero team inventory beyond what we already do with the battle inventory, but we'll see. I mean, it's just the amount of management we make people that play the game do, because it does have kind of a complexity cost. And I think there's an upper limit to what people will tolerate. So
Absolutely. You're sitting here listening to all of us tell you that create this utility for my assets that makes it super valuable. And there's like fucking so many assets in a game like this, right? So I can imagine that it's really hard, but I do appreciate the intricate work and the attention to detail that you guys do when you guys are operating within this like in-game economy, because it's super unique in the Web3 space. And I think you guys are light years ahead in that aspect of Web3 gaming.
Dude, Steve, that's a great point. Like,
Yeah.
if you were to ask like a huge question, I know, but like, how does the team tackle the question of what do we prioritize first, the asset value of the people who are already here, or the gameplay experience, and what levers will raise or lower either, right? I don't think any other game development company or producers really have had to weigh that out yet. And like, I don't envy you guys, to be honest.
No,
Yeah.
but I am absolutely in awe of what you guys are doing. I know I can be hard on people in Gen Chat. We're all human. Some people have bad days. Some people's asses are down. But I really do appreciate how you guys, take charge and really focus on that in-game economy, because honestly, we are in a game, but it is crypto too. So we all obviously want our assets to have utility and value. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why I freaking put as much in real life dough in this game, was because of the possibilities that this whole ecosystem has to offer. So.
Yeah, mad respect for the constant rebalancing that has to happen, because no matter how well you plan and what models you go through, without a fail, you guys drop something, we're going to find a way to break it. Somebody's going to find a way to take advantage of it, and then you got to rework it all again.
But so traits better fucking slap. All that said, traits better
fucking right.
You're going to have to rework it anyways. Might as well make sure they slap really hard at first.
I believe in you guys. The reworks are coming.
Yeah, or Street Fighter animations for all my traits, at least. So.
And if you
get SPD on it,
you need another.
Do you have any insight as to whether or not elements will have gameplay impacts?
For combat, I don't know that we will have that, but I think there's a lot available to us when it comes to like traveling, right, and having kind of random events be a thing that could happen. We can use anything that's on like the hero's data as kind of a trigger for that. So maybe it'll be something where you need like a party of people that are all fire element to have a certain thing occur. I don't know. We haven't really said for sure, but I think there is room for us to like really hide some stuff within this random event system. So like that'll be fun. Just we can have stuff that maybe no one will ever find ever, and that'll be fine.
Fuck that shit. We're finding it, dude.
but at least gives you guys stuff to be out there for, and maybe we can have some sort of counter of like content completion or appearance kind of thing.
Literally, I hope you guys really knock that out of the park, because I'm a PvP guy, but I absolutely love PvE, and those chat rooms where you're like trying to figure out like in-game mechanics for some secret thing are freaking awesome, and it creates for some good times. Or it makes for some good times. So I love what you're talking about there, man.
Yeah, I really liked in Final Fantasy 11. I played that a lot, and like that had so much of a community aspect to it, where you really couldn't do anything by yourself, and like a new expansion would come out, and everyone would be exploring the new zones.
The battle for the like world first at like whatever sort of limited time event between builds will be crazy. It'll be awesome. That's the shit that I'm looking for, Hubert. So.
Yeah, we just need to get there. So I'm really hopeful that this PvP effort with Metis is going to really help bring a spotlight back to DFK and kind of be a new beginning for us all to really be able to start ramping things up and get to that point. We just got to build it. Once it's there, then it's so much easier for us to actually like build more into it. It's just we have to build that first piece first. So
I know timing is everything, but save some of that Metis money for some marketing. You feel me?
And I have seen Shangri-La Frontier. I'm just reading the chat, but yes, I like that show.
Should I start building heroes that shouldn't work because in the future they become meta?
I already do that, by the way.
That's Shangri-La Frontier.
Yeah. We're not going to be able to get that complex, but it's a cool concept. I wish we had the full body VR experience. That would be cool.
Yeah, we should do. Okay, Brovia comes up with some good shit every once in a while. A wheel of names for Hubert's new baby's name at the end of the stream. We've already taken too much of this man's time, but we won't do that.
We have already decided. But
my question is, did you use your RNG to decide it?
All right, we can do a wheel of Discord names
formula for the baby.
My wife would not have appreciated that.
We can do like in-game names for the new baby or something.
Yeah.
You know,
I'll have a cameo for him somewhere in the game, and won't let anyone know that that's what it was. So
yeah.
Nice.
Well, Hubert, thank you so much for spending this time with us today. I hope that when you do come back, you know that you're always welcome on the Mythic Squad stream. And hopefully we can talk more about what that possible burn mechanic or hero summoning change can be in the future. I'd love to know what percentage of Gen 0 holders are actually actively summoning, as like, you know, kind of define what that point would be. And like, you use the maximums in this, but what are the actuals? This is kind of where I'd bury my head. But you know, thank you so much again. Like I said, Wowie, Ogre, thanks for putting this together. Beef,
Yeah.
short notice getting on here. Hubert, of course, like I said, always welcome back. Until next time, keep it mythic.
Love
baby.
you guys. Appreciate you.
I
Thanks,
love
guys.
everybody.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Ciao, ciao.